folks, welcome back to Indaba Africa. This is Chris once again. Hey folks, welcome back to Indaba Africa. This is Chris once again. Wow, I'll tell you, it's just, it never ends, does it? The left is endlessly searching for aggrievement and victimhood. It's almost like Pavlov's dog with a near automatic conditioned response of dislike or hatred. What am I talking about? Well, let's be clear about this. I don't want to give the impression that I'm attacking this individual, so let's be clear. This is about Anthony Zurcher, who's reportedly a Texan, although he doesn't seem to have much of a Texas accent. But he's a Texan, and he writes and does videos and blogs for the British Broadcasting Corporation, the state-owned leftist mouthpiece of the British government. Yeah, at the CPAC event taking place in Orlando this week, the leftists have made all sorts of ridiculous and asinine claims. So they've told us that the shape of a stage was the shape of a Nordic rune. And of course, we all know that Nordic runes are symbols of white supremacy. Lord knows there was an awful lot of interaction between people of darker and lighter pigmentation in the frozen north of Scandinavia when runes were created. Wow, they're always looking for evil where evil does not exist. We've been told that the OK sign is a white supremacy symbol, even though it was black Africans that came up with the symbol. Yikes. Breathing must be a symbol of white supremacy. It's utter nonsense what they come up with. But let's talk about what the controversy at hand is. Well, in a tweet on his account, Anthony Zurcher, this journalist or reporter, whichever you want to call himself, for the British Broadcasting Corporation. Now, I'm not going to pick on him specifically, but I'm going to point out what he said. He published a tweet, and here, look at this tweet right here, in which he claims that a Christian flag is actually the Confederate flag. Seriously? I mean, take a look at this. Now, it bears no resemblance to the false application of the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia, the Stars and Bars, which is not the Confederate flag, but that's the one typically people call. But it does bear a slight resemblance to a different flag from 1863, which is attributed to the Confederacy. But that one has the Stars and Bars embedded in it. So how do you make the mistake between these two flags? And then he comes up with a lame excuse as to why. Now, this is a list of the different things that people had to say about about his comments here. Just brutal things that people have to say, because clearly he didn't spend the 5 seconds would have taken to go to, say, I don't know, Wikipedia even, to find the sourcing on this. The flag in question is not a white supremacist flag, and it's not a Confederacy-related flag. It's a Christian flag that's there to represent all of Christianity and Christendom. This is a flag flown by the Anglican, Baptist, Lutheran, Methodist, Moravian, Presbyterian, Quaker, and Reformed churches throughout Africa and the Americas. Now, the Red Cross symbolizes the blood of Jesus on Calvary. Blue, baptism waters and the faithfulness of Jesus. And the white represents Jesus' purity. So red, white, and blue on this flag. Now, this was first designed and presented at Brighton Chapel on Coney Island on the 26th of September, 1897. That'd be about 124 years ago. Anthony Zurcher claimed that this was a Confederate flag in order to demean conservatives. And I'll talk more about Mr. Zurcher right now. So just to get an idea who we're talking about here, and again, I'm not attacking him, but he's one of these soft leftists who attack conservatives and try to demean them by belittling their arguments and giving misleading narratives. Specifically, if you look on the 18th of February, he wrote an article, a slanted article about cancel culture to dismiss the notion that it exists and that it's simply the fantasy or paranoia of those in the right wing who've appropriated it from leftists. Utter nonsense. I'm living proof of cancel culture. If you follow what happened to my YouTube channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Frivolous, non-existent claims for non-existent violations of community standards. Dozens of them within 48 hours attacking my videos. YouTube themselves putting the videos back up and then taking them back down for the same claim. Utter nonsense. Cancel culture exists, and bullies use it. So this article was meant to demean conservatives and right-wing people as just, being paranoid. Well, that's misleading. There's a lot of truth in this article. It's factual. But this intentional effort to denigrate conservatives cannot be missed by the average observer if you're looking for it. Also on the 18th of February, he did a misleading video about the Texas electricity power grid situation where he dismisses the vulnerability of wind and natural gas as sources of electricity. The two of them combined provide over 64% of Texas's electricity. Both failed catastrophically, despite his claims. And he tries to dismiss that and claim that conservatives and those on the right are simply misstating the case. Perhaps they've overplayed their hand a little bit, but they're not misstating the case. The reliance on natural gas are 40%, and for wind power, for 23% of Texas's generation of electricity, was overly dependent on two sources, which proved to be unreliable because the investment wasn't made into securing these sources of energy on a proper basis. And he, on the 18th of February, or 19th of February, the 27th of February, I should say, he did a visit and did a short video about a place called Conservative Grounds. This is a coffee shop in Florida where he intentionally paints conservatives as bigots and hicks by painting them in a unflattering fashion and clearly taking sound bites that suit his political narrative to denigrate conservatives. So not exactly an objective reporter or commentator, Mr. Zurcher. And clearly a gentleman who needs to learn a little something about flags. For instance, this flag from the Faroe Islands. You notice the symbology here? That's the flag with a cross on it. Or Finland, another country, Christian country, with a flag with a cross on it. Or what about the other Scandinavian countries? We have Denmark, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, and I can go on, including countries in the Americas, the Dominican Republic, even Tonga, Georgia in the Caucasus. The number of flags with Christian symbology and the cross on them in particular, I mentioned the ones with the cross because that's what's on this Christian flag, is numerous. Switzerland even has the Christian flag on it, a Christian cross on its flag. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to be able to make the distinction between one flag from the Confederacy and a Christian flag flying. This is, of course, part of the left's either wholesale ignorance because they know nothing about Christianity because they despise it, or it's an intentional effort to denigrate Christians, conservatives, and those on the right by painting them as fascist, bigots, and racist, when the bigotry is coming from the person who falsely tweeted this and then tried to dismiss it and move right on. Notice the tweet here where the gentleman calls him on the carpet for that. Well, folks, this is what the left does. They've been doing it for decades, and they've gotten away with it. They convinced many of us when I was a young man that Jerry Falwell was a bit of a nut job. The moral majority was an evil thing, when in fact it was not an evil thing at all. It's a perfectly moral and responsible position to have, those who supported the moral majority back in the 1980s. But the media, the indoctrination at university, high school, that I went through to paint these people as evil and then take every single instance to abuse Christians and take things out of context, things like Jim and Tammy Faye Baker, their personal foils and foibles, and make that appear as if all the evangelicals behave in that fashion. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. But that's what they do to Christians. Christians are the most widely persecuted and insulted group in this country. We hear about hate crimes. Yeah, they don't bother to cover the hate crimes against Christians, do they? Unless it's at a black church, then it gets attention. They all should get attention. Anyway, folks, thanks a lot. This video will not be appearing on YouTube anytime soon. It'll be on Rumble, possibly Odyssey, and other locations. Thanks a lot for your support. And be careful out there because the left is coming for you. And by the way, if you're on the left, they're coming for you too. It's just a matter of time. That's right.